Okay, the point of view right now is that you're a high value woman and you want to explore polyamory without feeling disrespected by your beloved. So, what actually happens often inside of this idea of monogamy and polyamory is that we think we have to choose one of them. And there's often this idea that monogamy is a very high vibe, high value woman principle, and that polyamory is for like wild women that just want to have lots of sex and be very slutty. And what I want to do is actually just release some of these ideas so that you can actually come into relationship with what polyamory and monogamy can offer you. Because the way that I do things in my marriage is that I'm not connected to either one or the other. I'm not a part, like, I'm not camping out as monogamous or polyamorous. I'm really just living in this idea that we can use the technology of both of these paradigms to connect to what it is the true essence of what life is bringing us. The way that things work in my marriage is that like spirituality is very high value. And so when we're walking with following our spiritual path, we're looking at to connect to the highest truth. And the highest truth of each moment is sometimes to connecting with other people and sometimes it's to connecting with ourselves. The way that I have seen it being the most useful is that when we are out in the world and we're front facing and we're both on a lot of stages, or we're speaking to the public a lot, then often monogamy just becomes the natural way because we're very busy of just like opening and expanding to the general public. And then what I find is, and when we've gone through those phases and we're more in an internal phase, when we're exploring our internal world and we're doing transformational work, that's often when I track that polyamory is quite useful. Because we're not using polyamory to get our kicks or to have our kinks met. We're looking at this polyamory as a way of exploring more of the self and of our consciousness and getting access to more of what actually the truth of our eros wants to reveal to us. Because for us, eros is one of the highest forms of activating our spiritual path. Because when we can trust our desire, where our desire is aligned with our highest self and our highest potential, we're just trusting that wherever our eros is taking us is going to be towards more potency, more of our own power, more of our higher potential. So when we start to trust that our eros is taking us there, it becomes less about like being on the hunt for who we can have sex with or who we want to be with, and more about just tracking where is our eros guiding us. So if we're feeling our eros towards someone, we'll bring it to the other person, we'll have a conversation about it, and then together we'll make a decision about whether that feels true. And most of the time, if my beloved comes to me and says that he feels a desire towards someone, I'm not standing in the way or analyzing or taking it into a mental space about whether we should or should not, he should or should not explore with this person. I don't look to judge that. I just look to sense that this is what the truth of his eros is, because we cannot actually choose what we desire or who we desire. And the only like value that I place on eros is that with each experience that we have, and we're allowing that part of ourselves to mature. Because there's a lot of people that I've worked with, a lot of entrepreneurial men, and I help them with their eros and with their sexuality, and what I see often is that they're being taken off course by their sexuality. They're having the experience that when they express their sexuality, it's like this very immature part of them. And that's actually often the case because this part never gets to mature, so it's often skewing them and taking them off purpose, taking them off track. And what we're looking to do is just to bring that energy and actually bring that power back to ourselves. And what I've seen over time is that this part of the self actually starts to refine. So the people that, my beloved was interested in the beginning, maybe he's not interested in them anymore. It's like he's starting to grow up that part of himself, and the same for me. Like I'm starting to experience that, like my eros only takes me towards what is actually for my highest potential now. But it took some time to actually refine that process and to activate more of this part of me. And now it's less of this idea of just like needing to be with lots of people or desiring to even be with lots of people, but just noticing when the body is having a response to somebody or something in my external environment, and then being able to have the conversations and the communication with my beloved to actually create space for that in our lives. And again, like I said, it's like if we're front facing, we might, and we're doing a lot in the world, we might actually choose not to actually do much with that. Maybe we'll have a conversation with that person. Maybe we'll just have a conversation between the two of us and just feel and recognize which parts of us are activating. So it could be like it's a very stimulating conversation that's activating the bodies to want to come together. Could be like a really deep heart connection that's wanting to expand more of our capacity for love. Could be a very animalistic, instinctual, primal sexual experience that we're desiring one other person. But whatever it is, we're not judging that. We're not necessarily even needing to act on that. It's just about the fact that we're bringing it up and recognizing it. And in that process of giving it space instead of shutting it down, there's so much power and so much potency. So I'm going to end it there just so you guys can have a little bit of an idea and understanding, you know, monogamy, of when you want to use it and how beautiful it can be to actually contain energy and bring sacred energy closer, so that you can have a deeper, safer experience of the body and the personal heart starting to open. And then polyamory is a way of expanding and seeing different parts and aspects of the self, and being able to utilize both of these paradigms as a way of exploring more of your relationship, instead of seeing that you need to commit to one particular culture. So hopefully that was useful. Drop me some comments if you resonate. Thank you.